Well, hi there, and welcome to today's training. I'm so glad you've all joined us as we talk about how to be that one entrepreneur in 100 that has all the right things in place to make it to seven figures in revenues. Today, I want to show you how to make $1 turn into five as a business owner, how to find cash in your business, and how to avoid the major financial landmines. Like I said, 1 out of 100 entrepreneurs makes it, and everyone that does takes care of this cash pillar of their business. So, welcome to learning all about how to make that work. So, what I want to do, have a little fun here today. This is not going to be a boring lecture like some of the finance and accounting lectures you may have had in the past. So, to start with, what I'd like you to do is introduce yourself. Tell me your name, where you're located, and if you would like to, go ahead and please tell me your. I'm going to take a little sip of water here. Apologize for that. Tell me your sort of biggest cash flow or financial issue if you feel like sharing it. That way, if I see that, I can go ahead and try and address it in the training or follow up with you afterwards and make sure you get the answer you're looking for. So, welcome again. A little bit of housekeeping to make this a very effective use of your time. First of all, everybody's on mute, so feel free to yell at the screen if it gets really boring. I don't see that happening. Two is this is not a magic bullet. I'm sure you've heard this before. What I'm going to teach you here is stuff that you can do, but it's not a magic bullet, and bullets hurt anyway, so hey, let's stick with this. This is also not a product demo. I have to say that, but I also want to say that because you're actually going to take some actionable items away from here today. This is not demonstrating a product. I want to teach you some stuff you can start using today. The biggest ask I have of you is just to take a minute and suspend your current beliefs about finance and accounting. They're not much fun anyway, and I'd like to show you a flip side of things that can actually make finance fun. So trust me on this, suspend those current beliefs, do whatever you have to just put it away for the next few minutes while we talk. Okay, if you stick around to the very end, we will have a free gift for all of you that'll help you put into place some of what we talk about today. So there are presents if you stick until the end. And I really do believe, because I've seen it happen to a number of people, this will positively change the way you feel about finances and accounting forever. And just imagine being that seven-figure business owner that doesn't hate talking about money and cash and their business and really understanding it. So hang on to your coffee mug, refresh your glass of wine, get tea, beer, whatever you need to, because here we go. What I'm going to cover today is the quick intros, which we've just done. I'll also tell you a little bit about myself as we move further here. I want to do a gut check with you because I want to know if this is a business or a hobby for you. And if this business is meant to make you money, you're in the right place. There is nothing wrong with a business that is intended to be a hobby or a passion and not something that's intended to make money. But if that is your business, this is not the place to be today. There's no reason to stick through the rest of this. This is for entrepreneurs and business owners who are working to make money to either grow their business or add to their personal wealth or be able to fund their charity or foundation. I'm going to talk to you about the secret that bookkeepers and accountants don't tell you about the cash that's already hiding in your financial reports. And I'm going to give you some steps you can implement today painlessly to set yourself up to double or triple your business in 3 years. And I'll get with you in a minute. You'll see an example from one of my clients who's done just that. More than one has done it, but I have an example here for you. And I want to make sure that your finances are serving you so that you can pay down credit or start returning cash to you as quickly as possible. This is a great tool for you to be able to get cash back into your own pocket. So join me here. Let's get to know your cash flow, confidently grow your business, and stop losing sleep over your finances. So let's start a minute with that woman I was telling you about. This is a business owner whose business has doubled and tripled over the last 3 years. And her comment about finances and cash flow and accounting is right here. If you're a real entrepreneur and not a hobbyist, you need to move from thinking that your finances are a big waste of time, which is what she thought when we started working together, to knowing that they can and should be the best time, the most fun time that you spend on your business. And she goes on to comment that I lead the way painlessly, because that is one of my missions, to have 1,000 entrepreneurs say finance is fun. And I'm doing that one entrepreneur at a time. So you can also be one of those. So let's figure out if you're in the right place here. Let's do a little gut check. You are definitely in the right place if you feel like your debt is insurmountable and that you're not going to ever climb out of debt. You're in the right place if you've wondered if all of that money you've spent in your business on training, on events, on retreats, on software, if it's been wasted or if it's really serving a purpose. You're in the right place if you don't quite know how to price what you sell. If you have trouble pricing what you sell, if you have trouble asking for money. We're going to address that directly. You're in the right place if you have no idea when and where your next dollar of revenue is going to come from. You're in the right place if you feel like an imposter because you have to go into hock or borrow money to do what all of the other entrepreneurs seem to do so casually, going to events, training, buying training, retreats, software, etc. You're in the right place if you've hit all your credit card limits and you don't know where the next dollar's coming from to invest in your dream. You're in the right place if you wish there was just one night where you didn't lose sleep over money. And most of all, you're in the right place if you wonder whether or not you should just pack it all in and go back to a 9-to-5 job, even though you really know you're meant to do this work. And I've been there myself. So does any of this sound like you? If it does, you're in the right place, number one. But number two, none of those things is the real problem. The real problem is simply that you're lacking some very straightforward cash basics and you don't know who to ask about it. So it's near impossible to change the situation you're in. You think you can ask your bookkeeper, but they come back to you making no sense. You think you can ask your accountant, but they're really just worried about your taxes. So you're caught in this loop of where do I get the information about cash in my business? And on top of that, you probably think, because of some of the folks you've talked to, that the finance part's way too boring or complicated to learn. And as a result, it's really difficult to understand or change the situation you're currently in. Whether it's that you're frightened you're going to hit all your credit card limits and run out of cash, and then where's the next meal going to come from or the next dollar of credit? That maybe that you have plenty of cash today, but you're walking around kind of feeling like, I think it's all going to come crashing down around me. I have no idea how long I'm going to have this cash. Or say, for example, you have no idea how you're going to pay your taxes this year. You've been incredibly successful, and you know there's a 30% tax bill coming your way, and you have no idea how you're going to pay it. So it's really difficult to understand or change the situation, whether it's any one of these. And on top of that, everyone else in the room, online or physically in the room at an event, seems to already know all this finance and money stuff. But I'm going to tell you a secret. They don't. Or at least they didn't always know it. And how do I know that? So after talking and working with hundreds of entrepreneurs at events, online, in training, out there just going from store to store to talk to brick and mortar entrepreneurs, from startup size, meaning $0 in the bank, to $100 million in revenue, I can verify that half to 3/4 of the people you see online, the ones that you think are successful, and are, or at events, are just as stuck here with this finance and cash piece as you may think that you are. So what's the number one money rule? This is not an embarrassing place to be, okay? You're a superhero serving the world. You're not an accountant. And unless you are a rare and admittedly somewhat troubled breed, you really don't want to be an accountant. So I know everyone I've talked to or worked with has said, at least once, I'm so embarrassed, but, and then fill in the blank there. I bet you can fill in one. I can certainly fill in one, okay? So here's the rule summarized. You have nothing to be embarrassed about, because if you've done it, whatever it is you think you've done with your finances or not done with your finances, so has someone else. And more than likely that someone is me, but that's a story for another day. So who am I, speaking of me? Most notably, I'm an entrepreneur just like you. I'm learning, making mistakes, and growing every single day. I'm on this roller coaster with you. Okay? That's the most important. But from a background standpoint, I also worked in $500 million to $12 billion companies for 25 years, mostly as a controller and CFO, and I loved it. And I learned absolutely everything I could from it. But I realized about 6 years ago that that environment really wasn't for me anymore. It was a little bit too stifling, a little bit too profit driven in at the sacrifice of human values and people. And my passion grew to a much broader mission. So I've been working with entrepreneurs ever since, doing a few things. Authoring a best-selling book that's been published by a New York publisher, getting information about finance and accounting in cash so that it's accessible to every single entrepreneur out there who has an Amazon account or access to a bookstore. I've hosted the Cash Flow Podcast Season 1, getting ready to launch Season 2, and been out there speaking to audiences of entrepreneurs. I've been developing and providing entrepreneur-friendly programs for 6- and 7-figure businesses. And I've been working one-on-one with 7- and 8-figure personality brands, some of which you would recognize as their go-to, we call it finance friend in the foxhole. And I've been leading some of those 7- and 8-figure personality brands into the Inc. 5000 and Ernst & Young Entrepreneur Award type finalists. So we are making a difference by bringing all of this stuff that I learned in the corporate sort of stifling structure, quite frankly, to the entrepreneurs in a way that doesn't bog them down, but gives them just the information they need to know to find their cash in the business. And notably, one of the biggest accomplishments is that I actually co-piloted a pre-funding startup, which had no money at all, into a sale for very high 8 figures recently. So, why? Why does this finance, money, and cash thing seem so hard to entrepreneurs? Why do we avoid it? Why do we fall asleep talking about it? Why do we want to stick knives in our eyes looking at reports that are given to us by bookkeepers and accountants? It's not our fault. Here's what's going on. Bookkeepers and accountants are currently telling you that you have to accept and understand what they give you, the way they give it to you, and when they give it to you. But here's the rub. That's a lie. Finance does not need to be complicated and boring. You can easily, as an entrepreneur, understand everything you need to know about your business finances. Results are what I'm here to deliver. With this training, you're going to learn the 3 things you can expect from your bookkeepers and accountants. Okay? And typical results when you implement what I'm teaching are going to come in the form of a few things. You're going to know how much cash you will have in your business and when to use it. You can find where the cash is hiding in your financial reports and how to access it. And your bookkeeping and accounting will cost you less and provide more than you imagined it could. So at the very least, stick to the end of this webinar so that you can get the tool that will let you get all of those 3 things with details. This is just a quick training here today to get your attention and let you understand that this is something you can do. But stay till the end and we'll get you something you can take a little more time with for free. Is a free gift at the end of this training. All right, let's jump into it. All right, I hope that tea's warm, that coffee's warm, or that beer or wine is fresh. There are 3 things that matter when it comes to business finances and accounting that we're going to cover today. Pricing, how much you charge for what you do and why it's okay to charge for what you do. I know a lot of us struggle with that. Accountability, what you can expect from your bookkeeper. This is really important, so you know what to ask, and making decisions. Knowing where your cash is and when you'll have access to it. And just in case you forget what those 3 things are, pricing, accountability, and making decisions, the initials, the first letters of each of those are my first name. And it is a coincidence that that's how it came out, sort of. I can take a little bit of credit for it. So let's start with the first one. Let's start with pricing, okay? Let's jump right in. Here's the key. Cash is king. And here's how I'm going to show you how you put $1 into your business and get $5 back, and why you should not feel bad about how you price your product. And we're doing that with what's called a new form of a cash cycle. And let's start with you, okay? You have a superpower. You're in business to do something. And you're in business to do that something because you know, or you've learned, or you've put in your 10,000 hours, or you by nature have a talent that other people don't. But it's something that they need. But you can do it faster. You can do it more accurately. You can do it with fewer mistakes. You can do it more specifically customized to your client than your client can do it for themselves. So how does this whole cash cycle start? Well, you've got to get some cash to start with, right? Because you have to build whatever it is you're putting together. You have to add a dollar to your superpower and shake it up. Just like you add protein powder to a drink to give yourself a day's worth of energy, you have to add a dollar to your superpower to build whatever it is. Let's just say it's a training module, or it's a coaching program, or it's a product of some sort. Say you might sell aromatherapy products. You have access to something in your superpower, but you got to put some money together with it in order to make it something you can offer out to the real world. Most of the time, right? That's why we're here. So then what happens? You do get it out there. You get it out to your client who could do what you do. Sure, they could, but it would take them a lot longer. They'd make a lot of mistakes. They don't know what they don't know. So there's some value to your client here, okay? And the way to look at this, if you have trouble pricing your product, is say that I need what you do. If I need what you do, I could stumble along and do it myself, but it's going to cost me time, money, mistakes, and potentially my business if I do it wrong and it's important enough. So there's some value there to me in all of that wasted time and money that I would have spent if I didn't hire you. So your pricing doesn't have to do with what your hourly rate is. It doesn't have to do with when you worked in industry you made $100 an hour or $30 an hour or $150 an hour. Your pricing has to do with how much value am I going to get as your customer, because I don't have to waste all the time, money, and energy in doing it wrong, right? So let's just for a minute say that's $5. You're going to get $5 for your $1 that you've invested by shaking it up with your superpower. And that $5 price minus the $1 you've had to spend is the difference you've made to me. And that's what pricing's about, folks. That is what pricing's about. It's not about, is it fair to charge? Other people charge this, or any of those other comparators. It's how much value are you bringing to your clients. And here's the really cool thing, right? You get that $5, and now guess what? You can use that now to serve 5 more clients. So you've just exploded your business capability, and you can see how that is exponential. So you keep going through this cycle. So the one thing I beg you to do is don't underprice your services, okay? You are adding value with your superpower, and don't ever forget it. It's a little bit of an aside, but it's so, so important. Okay, let's move on to our second topic now, accountability, right? Accountability. What I want to talk about here is what you're going to hold your bookkeeper and your accountant accountable to. Accountant accountable. Look at that. That rolls right together. So a good decision isn't based on you just getting numbers. This goes all the way back to Plato, for goodness sake. All right? That is way pre-accounting. And even he knew that a good decision's based on knowledge, not numbers. So we need to hold your bookkeeper and your accountant accountable to telling you what and only what you need to know to understand how to find the cash in your business. So let's look at the very basics in entrepreneur speak with the report that most people are familiar with, and it's the profit and loss or income statement. And let's just walk through this in entrepreneur speak, okay? I'm going to do this quickly. But there are really only 5 things on the profit and loss statement. No matter how big or complicated the report is that you get, there are 5 things. There's revenue, cost of sales, gross profit, fixed expenses, and net income. And a lot of people worry about not understanding and getting those words and what they mean. So let's translate those into entrepreneur speak, okay? Very simply, revenue is the money that we get for selling stuff, okay? Cost of sales is what we have to spend to provide what we sell. So in the last example, $5 was our revenue, $1 was our cost of sales. The gross profit, nothing to see here, folks. This is just math, and we'll talk about what it means in a little bit. But it's just the revenue minus the cost. It's what you got for selling stuff minus what it cost you to sell it. And then you've got some fixed expenses. This is the stuff that you spend to keep the lights on. And then finally, net income. And again, there's nothing here. It's just math. Okay, so this particular piece of information is completely irrelevant unless, okay, anything these folks are giving you is only important if you know what levers to pull, changes to initiate, or decisions to make based on what you're looking at. Okay? We need to hold these people accountable to presenting the information to you in a way that suits your learning style, so that when you see it, you say, oh yeah, that aligns with what my guts tells me about my business. Because another aside I'll give you is that as an entrepreneur, you really kind of know what's going on in your business. I've found this out with a lot of the folks that I've worked with. You really know what's going on in your business. You may not know the right terms for it. You may not get the number exactly right. But I'll tell you, I often work with entrepreneurs where I go off into a corner and work this really complicated math equation to get an answer. And I come back and say, hey, it's going to be $10,000, and they've already figured it out on the back of a napkin because their gut, you as an entrepreneur, you know your business. But also, it doesn't matter if it makes your eyes bleed. If you're looking at these numbers makes your eyes bleed, then there's no use in seeing them at all. So let's just walk through this quickly so that you've got a real solid understanding of what you're looking at when you get this information from your bookkeeper and accountant. And if you can't decipher this, then you're not getting the right information out of your bookkeeper or accountant. All right, so let's do the entrepreneur speak side. And revenue is the money we get for selling stuff. It's $12,000 in this case. So why does it matter? So let's talk about why revenue matters. Revenue matters because there are two things you can do to affect revenue. You can make a business decision to change your price. You can lower it, you can raise it, you can discount it, and you can sell more or less of it. There's a quantity. So bingo, you know when you're looking at that number that says revenue on the spreadsheet, there are two things you can do to affect it. So now you've got levers you can play with. Okay? That's why revenue is important, because you can think about how to change your price or how to change your quantity. What's the next thing? Cost of sales. So this is spending to provide that $12,000 that we just made. Again, very simple. There are two things you can play with cost of sales, cost and quantity. So you can make some real business decisions here. You can try to buy in bulk. You can negotiate cost with your vendor. You can choose to pay more to bring higher quality to the table. And again, with quantity, you can do more with less, you can add services, you can remove services. But that's why that cost of sales number matters. So what's this gross profit thing that you've heard? Some people will call it contribution margin. It's actually kind of important, but it's only math, right? It's that revenue number minus the cost of goods sold. It's the money you earn for what you sell minus the money you spend to create what you sell. And it equals, and the reason it's sometimes called a contribution margin, the money that contributes to you. Okay, that's why it's called contribution margin. It contributes to you. So what is you? You is your fixed expenses, okay? And your fixed expenses, and why they matter, is because what you pay is you pay yourself out of your fixed expenses. That's where your salary is, okay? This is incredibly important. You pay your employees out of your fixed expenses. You pay your rent. Basically what we're saying is it's the stuff you pay to keep the lights on. It's the stuff that you have to do no matter whether you're selling courses or not, okay? You have to keep doing some of these things. So it's all that stuff that stays no matter how many sales you make. And here's a little trick about fixed expenses, right? So you've sold some stuff, you had to spend some stuff to sell it. What was left over covers these fixed expenses. And I will tell you that looking at these fixed expenses, here's another tip for you, a little bit of a hack. Look quarterly at the detail that you're spending on these expenses, because I always find cash in the cushions here when I look at my own business and when I look at the business of my clients, and it's painless cash in the cushion. It's not like we find cash because you have to give up doing something that you really enjoy doing in your business. There's always extra cash sitting in the cushions, okay? And the very last thing that's left after you've spent money on all those fixed expenses is your net income, okay? And just to do kind of a little bit of a graphic on this, the way to look at it is the contribution margin is what covers your fixed costs. So let's pretend that your fixed costs is the liquid in this glass, or is the glass physically itself. And in this case, the liquid is the contribution margin. And you can see that the contribution margin is way bigger than the fixed cost glass in total because it's pouring out around the edges. And that extra money that's there after you cover all those fixed costs is net income. And that's a really good thing. Now, there are some cases where we have an example here where the fixed costs or the glass is a little bigger than the actual contribution margin we're pouring into it, right? That is not a great thing. When there's not enough money to fill up that and cover your fixed costs, you have what's called a net loss and a big sad face. Okay, so we want to have net income, no question there. And why do we want to have net income? Well, first of all, it's only math. It's all the money you've made minus all the money you've spent in your business, not just selling your product, but in your business. That equals net income or net loss. And why does it matter? It matters because of what you can do with it, right? You can spend it to sell more stuff, advertise more, hire more people. You can take some money out of the business and spend it on yourself. You can share it with your team. You can develop a new product or service. You can improve your processes. You can pay down your debt, or at best case, you can save it. And I'm sure you can think of plenty of other things you can do with it. The whole point of this section is that now that you know those terms, don't just get a piece of paper from your bookkeeper where they show you all of this stuff. Know that every decision you make ties out to one of those numbers. And at the end of this, I will give you a free gift that will let you remember what those things are so that you don't ever have to circle back to them again. And you'll be looking at your reports for only the stuff that matters, because the last thing we want to cover is making decisions. Because decisions are about the future, right? I love this quote from Tolkien. Still round the corner there may wait a new road or a secret gate. And knowing where your cash is going to be looking forward is what lets you seize those opportunities, and in some cases to avoid landmines. So let's talk about the M, the making decisions, because decisions are forward-facing. So let's make this comparison to airplane flights, okay? In all businesses and on many flights, it gets dark sometimes. It gets dark, a storm forms ahead, you hit turbulence and bounce so your stomach comes out of your mouth, or your drink comes flying out of your hand. You're blessed to have the seatbelt on. You fly through clouds, and it's dark and you really can't see anything. But on the flip side, there are days you can see miles and miles of clear sky and scenery. When you're flying at night, you feel like you can almost touch the stars because there's so many of them up there. You could turn off the engines and just glide quietly without any effort. And you climb higher and higher and higher, and then you can land safely when you want to. Okay, so you have opportunities, which is this last section that we see, but you also have threats, which is the first section here. Okay, so how do we prepare for that? How do we avoid those obstacles and leverage those opportunities? Well, it comes down to a dashboard. We have to be able to look at something so that we can have confidence in what's ahead. We need a cash dashboard for us, all right? But here, don't let this scare you. I don't want to overcomplicate it, all right? We're not fortune telling here. We know what our bank balance is. We decide how much we expect to sell. We decide how much we're going to spend, and we predict next week's bank's balance, and then next month's bank balance, and next year's bank balance. It is that simple. That's what a cash dashboard is. It's just giving you insight into what your cash balance is going to be at the end of each week, each month, each year. All right, so let's jump into it. It's very, very simple. How do you build that forecast? Well, step one is you get your bank balance. That's simple. Go online, get your bank balance. I have plenty of YouTube videos about all the reasons that it's really important to have a business banking account. And if you've stuck with me this far, you are one of the businesses that's in business to make money. And hopefully, if you don't have a bank account yet, go ahead and take the step to get a bank account, okay? It'd be a fun question to ask here to get replies to on the chat, is whether you have a business bank account set up yet or not. What's the second step? After you know what your starting bank balance is, you plan your sales. How much money are you going to want this month, right? How many things do you have to sell to get it? How many customers do you need to convert to sell that money? So how many leads do you need to get, right? But all the other stuff except for the first item there is your marketing stuff. What we need to know is how much money do you want this month, the first two things, and how many things do you have to sell to get it, okay? That's step two. It's all you need to know. You need to add that. Then you need to subtract how much it's going to cost you, how much cash you're going to have to put out the door to reach all those people, and how much is it going to cost to put those products together. Now, that's all theoretical, but I want to give you a very quick, very easy example here to show you how easy this is. And I actually have a spreadsheet that puts all this together, and it's this simple, okay? So spreadsheet shouldn't scare you either on this because it's this simple. We start with our starting cash balance this week, and let's say we have a goal at the end of next week to spend $2,500 on building out a new marketing funnel. So we have $1,000 in the bank to start. We know we're going to make $5,000 in sales because we're going to sell one product for $5,000 this week. We know it's going to cost us $2,500 to do it, so we're going to have to write a check to somebody for $2,500. So therefore, we know at the end of the week, our cash balance is going to be $3,500. And guess what? That very simply becomes the starting balance of your cash next week. Then we know what sales we're going to have next week. We're going to sell one thing for $1,500. We're going to spend $2,000 to do it. And when we do that, we're going to have $3,000 left at the end. And when we see that we have $3,000 left at the end of next week, if all of these things that we have planned happen, right? If we add $5,000 in sales minus $2,500 in the first week, we'll end the week with $3,500. If we start with $3,500 the next week and we add $1,500 minus $2,000, we'll have $3,000. Our goal was to have $2,500 at the end of the next week. So yes, I can. I can go ahead and start the process to spend money on building out that funnel. Okay? So here's what we're talking about. Finance can be fun when it starts to do things like that. It transforms the way entrepreneurs can grow. Okay? It doesn't have to be hard, boring, or complicated. You can build and grow a business without going crazy, and you can have confidence in your finances so that it's not a wild goose chase for you. And after 30 plus years of perfecting this process, I now want to make you the beneficiary of what I've learned and put together. So let's start with what's your vision, mission, or purpose. You've heard about mine. It's to reach entrepreneurs and have at least 1,000 of them this year say that finance is fun. But think about your own mission right now, okay? What if you never had to worry about having enough money to fund your dreams? How would you feel about that? How would it affect your life? Think about what your friends and family would now say about your business. Think about how your spouse or your life partner would feel about you being in this business now if you didn't have to worry about having enough money to fund that dream and provide what you do to the outside world. After what I just showed you, you can see that having money and cash confidence can support your vision. All right? And if so, my goal is to make sure you know you're not alone out there with the current cash knowledge gap. I know if this training resonated with you, there is a proven roadmap that could exponentially transform your business like it has for many clients. And it's simple, fun, guided, and it invites you into a family of like-minded entrepreneurs who have taken the step to get here. What's it called? It's called Profit Plan. And this is what it includes and what it entails. What we're really trying to get to is implementing a profit plan in your business so that once it's there, you'll laugh at how you used to struggle with your finances. You'll find the cash in your business and know how to best use it. You'll sleep peacefully with your newfound confidence. You're going to throw open the floodgates to growing your business in ways you had not even thought of before. You're going to start playing business like a grown-up without that awful imposter syndrome. And you're going to struggle to remember what it was like before. That is a common comment I get from people coming out of the Profit Plan program. They can't even remember what it was like or imagine running their businesses without what they know now. And these results aren't being pulled out of thin air. I'm basing it on my own experience and my clients' experiences. And it's important to know that since 2012, I've been implementing this with people just like you, watching their shoulders relax, watching them take a deep breath, and all of a sudden they start to have rock star-like financial fun because they're growing their businesses, sleeping peacefully, and out there really enjoying without that cash pressure what they were born to do. I'm also basing these results on how well we curate only and exactly the right people for the Profit Plan program, because chemistry in this group is key to the fun and the depth of the learning, as you can see from some of these slides. We make sure that finance is fun, be it with dogs, be it with the ocean, be it with just helping and encouraging each other through what we need, or very specific technical knowledge from experts in their field. So the best way to see if Profit Plan is a perfect fit is for you and me to roll up our sleeves and get on the phone and get you a few concrete action steps you can take towards cash certainty no matter what. But a couple things I want you to be aware of, all right? We only work with a small handful of clients at a time because my biggest job here is to make sure this is a fun ride while it's a successful one, and I've got a great team. But since I do work one-on-one with you and in a group and then in a live sentence, I have to put a cap on how many people can attend. Second, in addition to having fun together, we only work with people who I think will see results. This has got to be an investment you get a return on, or else I am not your best CFO, your best chief financial officer. I'm there to make sure you get a return on any investment you make, not just an investment in this program. So you've got to have what it, and additionally, you've got to have what it takes and really want to step into this cash certainty. So we've got a very simple application process to find out if Profit Plan's right for you. You need to be ready to do three things. Believe you can transform into cash confidence, be open to learning what it takes to be successful, and want to have fun during the execution process to get to results. I really want you to be our next major case study and wildly profitable success story. I want you as the example on my next training. So here's the deal. First, beside this presentation, usually to the right of it, sometimes on the bottom, you're looking at a book a session with Pam button. When you click on that, it's going to open up a very simple calendar. It'll allow you to grab a time. It's half an hour on my personal calendar. And after you book that time, I'm going to look forward to talking to you. And when we're scheduled, we're going to find out if you're a good fit for Profit Plan and if Profit Plan is a good fit for you. And when we do that, one of two things is going to happen. Scenario number one, this is most likely, you're going to say, holy cow, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Finance is fun and take me to the next level. I want to join Profit Plan right now. In which case, we'll talk about what to do next. Second scenario, a lot less likely, but you're going to say, this isn't what I thought it would be. I was really hoping for something else. Thanks very much. Great to meet you, but so long. And in the unlikely event that that happens, okay, I'm going to be sure you get three things. You're going to get a free gift that we currently sell for $397 over and above the free gift you're already going to get for having just stayed to the end of this webinar. You're going to get a free copy of my book, Your First CFO, The Accounting Cure for Small Business Owners. And you're going to get, at least from me, three very specific actionable steps you can take in your business today to see progress towards meeting and owning your own financial kind of inner genius, finding cash flow in your business. I'm going to talk to you long enough to understand what you can do today to make a difference in your business, even if Profit Plan isn't right for you. All of that's going to be free with no strings attached, and it's my way of saying thank you so much for trusting me with your valuable time, both with this training and on the call. And that's how confident about what I have to teach and show you on our call. You're either going to be totally amazed or you're going to get this $397 gift in exchange for your time. So here's the next step. Press the button to the right. It might be at the bottom. Sometimes it's on the right. It depends on your browser. Grab a time on my calendar. And once I receive that info, I'm going to shoot you a quick email reminder of the time that you booked, and we'll talk then. Really important heads up, webinars getting viewed by hundreds of people, not just the folks here today, but hundreds over the next few days. And the appointments are on a first come, first serve basis. And history's shown that the available time slots get reserved pretty quickly. So grab that time with me right now, press the button off to the right. And I want to thank you so much for your time and for scheduling a call with me. I know you're going to love this. I look forward to talking to you soon. And I just want you to hang on a second to listen to what folks who have joined this program have had to say. I've got a video here to show you, and I think that you will see that this has been a real game changer for people who have clicked the button to say yes. So let's get to it.
Before I started working with Pam, I was actually feeling a lot of embarrassment around the numbers in my business.
My head was stuck in the sand in regards to my finances. I didn't know what was working. I didn't know what wasn't working and how to get where I wanted to go.
My business is really new, so I've only been in business for a couple of months. I have this money, and I have no idea really what that means.
Pam has been helping us claim that finance is fun, and I can genuinely say today I'm starting to really feel like finance is fun.
Pam really has helped me kind of figure out that stuff, and the products that she gives you with your personalized forecast is amazing, because now I can see, oh my gosh, I have made money. Instead of keeping my head down thinking, I think I made money, maybe I can pay myself, I'm just going to keep checking my account all day long to see if there's still money in it. So now I feel like there's been a weight lifted off of me because I know where I'm at and where I'm going.
She's taken a lot of time to really get to know my business and understand what my business model looks like, what it can look like.
I feel like I'm kind of just absorbing all of it before I kind of build a financial hole for myself.
The inclusivity, the group structure, and just, all of the different pieces that we got to experience. I think one of my favorites was probably the hot seats.
A hot seat that I've never experienced before. So I've been in other masterminds and I've been in a hot seat, but it wasn't like this.
So when I know what my numbers are and what they mean and how I can actually adjust them, I just feel like the whole world just opened up for me today.
Now I have a totally different insight, and now I want to know more about my own business.
Pam is excellent at taking the complex and making it simple.
She just has a presence about her that makes you feel loved and cared for and in a safe space. And without Pam, if it was just another finance person, someone else in accounting, or somebody else to give you advice, I never would have opened up in the way that I did. I never would have listened.
When you get finance working for you, instead of you working for your finances, everything flips on its head and finance is fun.